Dipo, good afternoon. Good to have you on Midday Live.
Good afternoon.
Dipo, the elections ended yesterday. What is your general assessment of the process so far?
Okay, point of correction, the elections are still on.
All right, then.
In certain
Some
parts
places
of the
did not
country
vote.
right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Yeah, okay.
Yes, so certain folks couldn't vote yesterday due to the materials getting there late. They couldn't get accredited on time and various logistical issues. So the elections are still on. Voting is still on in certain parts of the country. However, what we've seen so far is pockets of violence, pockets of disruptions in a few places. And for me, it is quite unfortunate because, I mean, like we discussed a couple of days ago, we saw a large show of force by the military, by the police, by the armed forces of Nigeria, signaling that they would not allow or permit any form of disruption to the electoral process. But unfortunately, that's not what we've seen so far. And in some cases where they were alerted to disturbed areas, they responded in some places swiftly, in some places the response time was quite delayed. But that being said, what I would want us to take from this particular election season is the zeal and the enthusiasm of the Nigerian people to exercise their franchise and vote their choice. Because what we've seen so far is even the places where we've had pockets of violence and disruptions, we've seen Nigerians come out en masse to defend their votes. In places where certain folks try to snatch the ballot paper or try to act funny, we saw the voters, we saw the electorate stand up to them to ensure that their votes were counted.
Talking about acts of violence, there were, heavy security presence. Were you surprised there were acts of violence amidst that?
Well, I wasn't surprised because in the end, certain folks would need to try out the efficacy of the security operatives. So, I mean, it was quite expected. However, it was quite unfortunate because we expected that this would have gone a lot smoother than it did, and that we wouldn't be seeing the kind of violence and disruptions that we saw yesterday. But we are hopeful that most of the entire process will be free and fair, because like we said, the pockets of violence we saw happened in a few places. And like, we have around 176,606 polling units in the country. And the pockets of violence we saw were in a handful of places. So I would not say they are insignificant because, like I always say, one pocket of violence in one place is one too many. So we cannot say they are negligible. However, we will say that the entire process, we hope that it will come out to be free and fair.
So prior to these very elections, expectations of political watchers were the fact that anything that happens in Nigeria will have a rippling effect on countries on the continent. And for them, if Nigeria gets it right regarding democracy, it means some of these countries with lesser GDP and lesser population will emulate something from Nigeria. But with this pocket of violence, doesn't it feel some way for you?
Well, it does. It does because, I mean, like you rightly said, if we're able to get things right in Nigeria, things would fall in place in other parts of the continent. However, you must also understand that in Africa generally, we all have young and evolving democracies. And for some reason, we haven't been able to move past this particular part of our democracy, seeing pockets of violence happen when we're having the elections done and people exercising their franchise with regards to how we exercise, with regards to how we vote in a democracy. But that being said, we believe that things are getting a lot better. For example, like I stated yesterday, we have the Beavers technology now being deployed, and it's making verification, it's making accreditation, pardon me, it's making accreditation a lot smoother for us while we are carrying out voting processes and ensuring that you are who you say you are when you come to the polling unit or when you come to the polling station. So gone are the days where we say we're accrediting people manually with a biro and paper. It's also helping to ensure that we safeguard our votes and the entire process is done seamlessly.
Thanks so much, Dipo, for your expertise this afternoon. Share with us. Surely, during the course of the day, we'll come back to you for more clarity and updates in that regard. And Dipo Oye Wale is a strategy consultant and public affairs analyst.